All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica from Afro-Vegan Society, and welcome to our first session in our three-part vegan eggless breakfast cooking demo series. So this month is National Egg Month, and we wanted to highlight some egg alternatives that are healthier, that are more compassionate, that are more eco-friendly, and that are most of all super delicious. So today's cooking demo is going to feature two recipes using the same batter, and we're going to be making some omelets, and we're also going to make some mini frittatas in muffin tins. So with that said, we can go ahead and go through our ingredients. So for me, I like to include lots and lots of veggies, fresh plant foods in my cooking, along with some prepackaged foods. So I'll show you both. But here I have 8 ounces of diced mushrooms. I have one medium onion diced. I'm not going to use this whole thing, but it's good to have. I have here about a half cup of shredded vegan cheese. I am using Chow's original vegan cheese that I just shredded myself, but you can use whatever variety you like. I also have here about a cup of diced bell peppers. And I also have some zucchini. So this is one diced zucchini. So the nice thing about these recipes is that you can incorporate whatever veggies you like. It's totally customizable. If you wanted to throw in some vegan bacon or some vegan sausage, anything like that, you can customize however you like. Now let's get into the ingredients for the batter that we're going to be using to make our frittatas and our omelets. So first things first, I am using chickpea flour. So I ordered this brand online, but you can get it usually in most supermarkets in the gluten-free aisle. And I like chickpea flour because it's very nutritious. And so it's just basically ground up chickpeas into flour. So each serving is a quarter cup, according to them. And it has 7 grams of protein per serving, as well as lots of fiber, and it's really low in fat. And of course, it's cholesterol free. So if you think about it, I think one egg has about 7 grams of protein per egg. And so 1/4 cup of chickpea flour is going to be a great nutritional swap for one egg. If you have worries about getting enough protein, chickpea flour is going to keep you covered. It's going to be a perfect plant-based alternative to the animal products that you've been using. So we also have here some nutritional yeast. Nutritional yeast is just great for flavor. It adds that umami, slightly cheesy flavor to things. And so we're going to be using some of this. We're also going to be using a product called Neat Egg. So Neat Egg is a blend of milled chia seeds and chickpea flour. It's a thickener, it's a binder. Now, alternately, you could use milled flax seeds or milled chia seeds if you prefer, but I have this on hand and I really like how things come out when I use Neat Egg. And then in terms of seasoning, we have some turmeric here. Turmeric has great anti-inflammatory properties, but it's also going to boost our color and give us that nice golden eggy color that we're looking for. We also have some smoked paprika. I just like the element of flavor that smoked paprika adds to most dishes that are savory. We also have some garlic powder. And finally, we have black salt. So black salt is a Indian spice, and it has a higher concentration of sulfur in it, which gives it that eggy flavor. So some people love it, some people hate it. If you really want that eggy flavor though, get yourself some black salt. Look for Indian black salt if you're shopping online. That's going to be closer to what you want. You don't want like a smoky flavor, you want that eggy flavor. And then also we are going to be using just a bit of vegan butter. So I got Country Crock's plant butter with avocado oil. You can use whatever you like, but I just got this one, like I said, from my regular supermarket, and it was on sale. So that's why I picked this one up. But there are so many brands that are either creating specialty vegan butters or mainstream brands that also have plant-based options now. So swapping out your butter is super simple to do now as well. And hi, everyone. I see that you're joining in the comments. I'm so glad that you could join today. So with that said, let's go ahead and turn our pan just to get it preheated. I'm setting this to medium heat, and we can start measuring out all the ingredients for our batter. So first off, I'm going to make a larger batch of this. So the batch that I'm making today is enough to make 12 baked mini frittatas, or you can make about 3 to 4 omelets depending on how much batter you use. So we're going to start off with 1 3/4 cup of chickpea flour. try to level it off. It is a pretty forgiving recipe though, so if you go a little bit over or if you need to adjust the consistency for whatever reason, you do have flexibility to do that. But I'm going to shoot for exactly 1 3/4 cup. 5, 6, 7. Okay. All right, so we have our chickpea flour. And this is also a great recipe because it's grain-free. So if you're looking for grain-free recipes or soy-free recipes, this is going to be perfect for you. Next up, we're going to add in 1 teaspoon of this neat egg. Now, I noticed when I use more, it almost makes the texture too gummy. So 1 teaspoon is enough to assist with the binding process without it taking over. Like I said, neat egg is a mixture of chickpea flour and milled chia seeds, but you could totally just use milled chia seeds or milled flax seeds only, depending on what you have available. So we're adding that in. Next in, we're going to add in 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast. So once again, this is another one of those optional things. People for different reasons do or don't like nutritional yeast. I think it adds some really nice flavor. So if you're open to using it, go for it. I'm going to do 2 tablespoons, but this is something else you can just adjust based off your preference. All right, so now we're going to get into our aromatic spices. So I'm going to add in about a 1/2 teaspoon of smoked paprika. We want that hint of smokiness, but we don't want it to take over the entire dish. So 1/2 teaspoon of smoked paprika. We're going to go in with 1/2 teaspoon of turmeric. This also has a pretty pungent flavor. And we're mainly adding this in for color. So 1/2 teaspoon is the perfect amount based off of my recipe test, but as always, adjust to your preference. Next up, we're going to use 1 teaspoon of this black salt. Okay. And maybe even 1 heaping teaspoon of it, because this is the only salt source that we are adding to this recipe. Okay. And then we're going to add in 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. Now, you could also add onion powder, but I have fresh onions here, so I'm going to take it easy. Now, before I mix all of these ingredients together, No, I'm going to go fresh. I was planning to saute. So you have a couple options here. You can saute your veggies for your filling for your omelet and your frittatas, or you can leave them fresh. And I was about to saute it, but honestly, I'm in the mood for fresh veggies. I like the crunch that they add. So I'm going to not saute today and leave them fresh. But whatever you prefer, feel free to do. So now I'm just whisking together all these dry ingredients till they are nice and well combined. And before I'm also going to add in some baking powder. Now, I would omit this if I was only making omelets, but since I'm making frittatas, you want those to rise a little bit in the oven. So I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of baking powder here and sprinkle that on in. Okay, so now we are going to go ahead and whisk this up. So for those who are just joining, in this bowl, we have chickpea flour, we have some milled chia seeds and chickpea flour together in this product called neat egg. So it's a mixture of both, but you could either use milled chia seeds or milled flax seeds only. We have turmeric, we have baking powder, smoked paprika, Indian black salt, garlic powder, and we also have some nutritional yeast. So it's a very simple blend of dry ingredients. And then the wet ingredients are even simpler. Now, depending on what you like, you could use some unsweetened plant milk of your choice, oat milk, almond milk, any of that would be great. But I'm going to keep it really simple, and I'm just going to use water. So we did 1 3/4 cup of chickpea flour. So we're going to go ahead and go in with 2 cups of water. And I'm using a 1/2 cup measure, so that means I need to do this 4 times. Okay, so basically, from my experience of making this, you need just a little bit more liquid than you do dry ingredients to make this work. It gets a little chalky if you don't use enough liquid. So you can always eyeball this, but the measurements helped me a lot, especially my first few times making this. But the more you make this dish, I feel like the more comfortable you'll be just kind of eyeballing what you need and getting that texture. Now, the texture we're actually looking for is a thinner pancake batter. So pancake batter can be on the thicker side. This is a little bit more runny than pancake batter. All right, and we're just here whisking. We just want to get all the lumps out. Another nice thing about working with grain-free, gluten-free flours is that you can't really over whisk them. So usually with like a wheat flour, you wouldn't want to over whisk it because it might get tough or something like that. But with these, you do not have to worry about that. So don't worry, go ahead and whisk as much as you need to make sure everything is well combined. And it even also helps a little bit to let this batter sit a little bit before you use it in the pan, just so that the flours can absorb the liquids and become more uniform. Okay, so we have a nice batter here. I want you to be able to see this texture. So you see it's kind of runny. Like I said, just a little bit thinner than your typical pancake batter, but that is exactly what we're looking for. And you see this color, it has that golden color. It's very similar to like with egg. So there are amazing ways to recreate dishes that you love with plants that are also quite simple. So I like these two recipes for different reasons. For me, the omelet is probably my go-to if I want to have like brunch and eat it with some, home fries and some salad or some of my other breakfast favorites. But these mini frittatas are perfect for making like meal prep. So if you want to prepare in advance, you can make a whole batch of this and bake them off in muffin tins. And then you're good to go for several days. You have your breakfast ready to go and you don't even have to think about it. So we're going to start off by measuring out our batter into our pan. So before we do that, let's go ahead and put some of our vegan butter in. I'm going to use about 1 to 2 teaspoons. And just let that melt. And I'm just swirling this around to get this surface of this pan evenly coated and go a little bit up the wall of the pan as well. All right. So my pan was heating up on medium, but I started to notice it was getting a little smoky, so I reduced it down to low. Now I'm going to inch it back up to medium low. And we're going to take about a cup of this batter and just pour it around in an even layer to cover the bottom of this pan. Okay. So let that go. So that's evenly coated on the bottom of our pan here. We're just kind of swirling that around a little bit. And then we're going to start putting in our filling for this right away because we want our cheese to melt. Vegan cheese needs to make contact with steam in order to melt properly. So I'm going to actually start by putting vegan cheese across the bottom, just a few tablespoons of the shredded vegan cheese across the bottom of the pan on top of this batter. Then I'm going to go in with the onions. I'm not going to use too many since we left them raw. They're going to have a lot of kick. We're also going to add in our mushrooms. These give really nice body, make it more filling, make it chewy, have that meaty component in our plant-based omelet here. So put our mushrooms in, put in our bell peppers. Okay, and I'm actually filling it up just under halfway in this pan because I want there to be space for me to fold over. So let's see, can you see that better? I don't know if you can see what's happening, but then we're going to put in our zucchini as well. And like I said, this is fully customizable. So I love putting in broccoli and spinach into my omelets. What else do I like? Anything is delicious. You can use whatever type of mushroom you like. So now I'm going to crank this up. And basically what we want to happen is for this to start steaming. So this is going to cook on the base and the bottom of this. And then once this cooks for a few minutes, we'll be able to flip it over and close it up and then flip it around a little bit. We do want to be gentle with it. It will break on you just like any omelet. So let's see if I can get a pretty one for this demo today. So we've got all of our batter that we need for our omelet going. Like I said, this amount of batter will probably make you 4 to 5 omelets, depending on how much you use. We use about a cup of batter to make this omelet, but usually I make closer to 2/3 cup per omelet. So whatever you want. Now for our frittatas, we're just going to add however much veggies we want directly into our batter right now. So I dropped my onions in the bowl, but that's okay. We move forward. That's a first. Okay, put that in, set it aside. Next, we're going in with all of our remaining bell peppers. I'm going to add in most of this zucchini. Now, the thing about this is the omelet will maybe take about 10 minutes on the stovetop. Our frittatas, our mini frittatas are going to take 25 to 35 minutes in the oven, depending on what size muffin tin you use to bake this off in. You could also put this in a skillet and bake it in one sheet as well. So you could bake this instead of cooking it on the stovetop. But we have to be mindful. Part of the reason that the cook time goes up is because of the fact that our vegetables are going to release water as well. So we want everything to have ample time to set up. So it's really nice because it has like a moist, chewy texture. Great texture all around. So just whisk up that batter. Okay. And now it's time to portion this frittata batter into our muffin tin. So for the demo today, I'm going to be using a jumbo muffin tin. I made a batch earlier using regular size muffin tins, and I basically want to do both just so that you have cook instructions so you know how long it takes for each. So using a standard muffin tin, I preheated my oven to 350 degrees and cooked that for 25 minutes, and they were perfect in that time. So I'm going to test this one during this demo to tell you exactly how long you need to bake in a jumbo muffin tin to get your mini frittatas perfectly baked. And while the mini ones are nice, and most people have a standard size one, if you have a jumbo one, you're probably more likely to be satisfied with just one of these as opposed to like with the mini one, you probably need 2 or 3. So it just depends on what you have available, how you like to eat, all those great things. So I'm going to take some cooking oil spray and just make sure this is well sprayed. This is a nonstick pan, but it's always good to do this just to be safe. But what I also experience is that when you let these frittatas cool completely in the pan, they pop out super easy. So you shouldn't have to struggle with getting these out of your pan. So now I'm using a 1/2 cup measurer, and I'm going to go through and load each cavity of this tin up. I want you to be able to see what I'm doing here. So let's move this out of the way, this out of the way, this out of the way. Okay. So yeah, we're just using a 1/2 cup measurer and ladling this in. And for this recipe size, if you're using a standard muffin tin, you're going to get 12 standard size mini frittatas out of this. But if you use jumbo, you're more likely to get 10. So it's not that many fewer. Just try to even this out and use up every last bit of batter that we can. Okay, and I'm going to check on my omelet because I hear it sizzling and it sounds great. So It's looking good. We're starting to get some bubbles on the surface of the pan, and it's steaming up nicely. Ooh, that's going to flip nice. But I'm going to let this continue to cook because this is super moist. So we definitely want this to continue to cook. And also the steam will slightly cook the veggies in the filling. So before we finish this off, I'm going to go ahead and top this off with just a few more veggies just to make it a little prettier. So let's try to get it evenly distributed. We want those colors to shine through, and it's also just nice to know what you're biting into so you can see what you're about to eat. That makes it more appetizing. And if you make it for somebody else, lets them be a little bit more informed. So you don't have to do this. You could totally put everything in, but I just think it looks nice to have those flecks of color coming through the top. I'm going to do a couple mushrooms. Oh, I used up all the bell peppers. Those would have been really nice too because they're so colorful, but that's okay. But you know what? I actually have some sliced tomatoes, some sliced grape tomatoes here for garnish for the omelet. I'm going to just add a couple of these to the top as well, just to make it nice and vibrant. Just top it off with 2 each. Okay, and now we're going to finish it off. We're going to finish it off with our vegan cheese shreds. So a nice sprinkling on top of everything. And what's nice about the vegan cheese is like the parts of the cheese that are going to touch the surface of the frittata are going to melt. But then there's also going to be a bit of a crisp on the top surface. So you get that meltiness, but also that crispiness. So it's a great combination of textures. Okay. Okay, so we've got these all topped off. Let's see if I could tip it up so you can see. And these are our frittatas going into our oven. A preheated 350-degree oven is just what you need. And these will bake for 30 to 35 minutes. Like I said, the exact amount of time for the jumbo frittatas, I will definitely let you know once they are fully baked in the written recipe that I send out. So now it's time to clean up our surface a bit here. Okay. And I can show you what our mini frittatas look like. So these are fully baked mini frittatas. And like I said, they're perfect for meal prep. They're perfect to just prepare in advance. Olives would be awesome for this. Any veggies you like would be absolutely delicious in this. So we've got our frittatas all done. And let's pull out our plate because I think it's time, just like that, to close up our vegan omelet. So let's see. This is a little tricky because I'm left-handed somehow right now. Okay, so I'm just going to gently try to work up the edge of this. Actually, let me shake it. Okay, so I see it's moving. Can you see it moving around in the pan? This is our omelet. I really don't want to break it, but even if it breaks, it's still delicious. And that's what garnish is for. Okay. So, all right. It is very delicate. All right. Got most of it flipped. Beautiful. All right, and here is our oven flipped in the pan. Can you see that? Okay, so I'm just going to slide this on out. It has a nice, slightly golden brown color to the bottom edge where it's been baking. Ooh. And it is full of vegetables. So it's not coming out the cutest, but it's going to be the tastiest. Okay. So we've got our omelet here. This was not a perfect plating, but that's okay because what really matters is how it tastes. Turn off my heat. And also to assist this, we're going to top it off with some Sliced cherry tomatoes for garnish. Cover up those cracks. You can make this any style you want. You could do Southwestern with black beans and peppers and onions. You could do, I don't know, like a Mediterranean style with extra chickpeas in it, and do like a cucumber and tomato salad on the side with fresh parsley. There's so many ways you can fill your omelet. And I would totally say, hey, sometimes if you're looking for some inspiration, just look up a menu at a breakfast place you used to go and see what combinations they use. More likely than not, there are some vegan alternatives out there that you can include in your breakfast to recreate some breakfast that you maybe used to enjoy eating out at home. But it's 100% plant-based and so delicious, so healthy, but tastes so, so good. So I top that off with some avocado slices. And I think that concludes everything. So if you have any questions, feel free to email me at Afro-Vegan at gmail.com. You can totally also drop your questions in the comments. I couldn't look through everything while I was cooking, but I will definitely get back to you after the fact. And you should definitely be on the lookout for the full written recipe for our mini baked frittatas. So 2 delicious breakfast options made with 1 batter, so that you have some delicious eggless options to keep you well fed for breakfast. So let me know if you try this recipe out this weekend or anytime very soon. I hope you all enjoy it. And be sure to tune in next week because it's all about tofu. So I'm going to be showing you how to use tofu to make a delicious breakfast sandwich with bacon and cheese. But I'm also going to show you how to make some delicious breakfast pastry stuffed waffles. They are as delicious as they sound. And I'm also going to squeeze in a recipe for some breakfast pizza. And finally, we will be showing you an alternative on how you can use hash browns to make a breakfast sandwich instead of using bread if you're not eating wheat for some reason, or you just really want hash browns in your sandwich. So all that's going to be super simple, as always, really delicious. And I can't wait to share those recipes with you. So thanks so much for tuning in, and I will see you all again next week. Bye, everybody.